Reason why is because of our call in. So during our call in today, we are asking you about what your favorite homegrown TV show is. What Canadian production do you absolutely love or have memories about? This can be a TV show, this can be a movie, this is Canadian made, because we're talking about all the hype about a show, if you haven't heard about it by now, called Heated Rivalry, which is Canadian made but is making waves right around the world. Here are the numbers to call: 204 7800893, 204 7800893. Text us 204 588 7355. Toll free as well, 1-483. You can also send us your thoughts on TikTok and also on CBC Manitoba's YouTube channel. Love to read some of your recommendations there about Canadian made productions. Okay, we're going to get to our call in just a moment. But of course, we have to talk about the weather because a TV show is not the only thing we're talking about. We're talking about, what is this now, day 3? What are we at, Riley, when it comes to this cold snap?
I think it really kind of kicked into high gear yesterday.
Okay.
So
It felt like it was actually here Wednesday, but you've been tracking everything. You're
yeah,
probably
the
right.
days
Thursday,
just kind of
yeah.
all blend together for me at this point.
Yeah.
So I mean, I certainly felt it sort of heightened on my walk into work yesterday. Certainly another chilly one today across the province. Right now in Winnipeg, minus 28 degrees. The wind chill feeling closer to minus 39 right now. A light westerly wind. We have started to see the winds backing off a bit breezy through the day yesterday. Still a bit breezy last night, but the wind has started to drop as we've gotten throughout the day here. 27 below in Portage. Brandon's at minus 30. Swan River's at minus 30. Thompson's at minus 29. Wind chill values. Lynn Lake to Dooley Lake, Churchill around minus 45, 46 at the moment. Just to put that into some context, that's frostbite on exposed skin in 5 minutes or less in some cases. So really take that into consideration if you have any outdoor plans, particularly in the north, but really right across the prairie provinces as we get through the rest of the day today. Wind chill values hanging around minus 40 through the afternoon in Winnipeg. Still have that extreme cold warning of the orange variety still in place for the bulk of the province, just because of the duration that we're looking at this lasting really right through the weekend, and actually looking at wind chill values actually somewhat heightened as we get into the weekend itself, particularly overnight Saturday into the morning hours on Sunday, which I'll talk about in just a moment here. This lobe of cold air, the polar vortex, just kind of sits right now over northern Manitoba, northern Saskatchewan, and just kind of rotating in place. It's not till Monday or Tuesday that we see some disruption thanks to a ridge building in the west that will start to push that forward, push it a little bit further east as we get into early next week, but still temperatures remaining below seasonal for the bulk of next week. And I'm not looking at any real warm up until we get into February here. Precipitation wise, not much to speak of. Pretty sunny through the weekend, really province wide. Winds do stay fairly light for the most part today. Could be a bit breezy as we get into the early part of next week, but story certainly the temperatures as we get through the next couple of days here. So minus 37 overnight tonight in Brandon. Portage looking at minus 31, minus 33 in Winnipeg overnight tonight. Temperatures close to minus 40 through much of northern Manitoba, and that will push those wind chill values, even though there won't be a lot of wind. It doesn't take a lot of wind to really elevate that wind chill, that frostbite risk into the morning hours with temperatures as cold as they will be. So close to minus 50 once again overnight in northern Manitoba, close to minus 40 to minus 44 in the south. Again, that's frostbite on exposed skin, 10 minutes or less into the morning hours. Minus 27 into the afternoon tomorrow. Minus 27 into the afternoon Sunday. Worth noting, Marge, though, that into Sunday morning, looking at wind chill values approaching minus 45 to minus 50 even in southern Manitoba into Sunday morning. So a very chilly weekend ahead. Minus 17 for Monday, Tuesday, and minus 19 with a mix of sun and clouds on the way for Wednesday.
All right. Stay safe and stay warm out
Yeah.
there wherever you are. Thank you very much, Riley.
You're welcome.
That is CBC weather specialist Riley Lachuk with a look at your forecast. And Riley will have more coming up this afternoon on Up to Speed starting at 3 o'clock. And again tonight, you can see Riley on CBC Winnipeg News at 6. It is 12:38 now. It's the show. Your kids, your coworkers, maybe your mom can't stop talking about. In just weeks, the Canadian sports romance show Heated Rivalry has taken over the minds of every pop culture and film enthusiast. It has gone international. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar, the Canadian-made series is based on a book series by Nova Scotia author Rachel Reed. It follows the fictional romance between two closeted male hockey stars. Listen to part of the trailer.
Canada-Russia final showcasing the two most talked about prospects in the world. Canada's Shane Hollander.
Shane Hollander, I wanted to introduce myself.
Okay.
And Russia's Ilya Rozanov.
You're an awesome player to watch.
Yes.
Very good at hockey.
The best, probably.
We will be seeing each other a lot.
Yeah, Boston and Montreal play against each other often.
Roz, you gotta see this.
He's like a huge movie star.
Are there any gay hockey players?
None that have said it publicly.
If you have seen it, you know it is both steamy and dramatic. Even NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman has admitted that he has watched the program. And it's not just putting Canadian talent front and center, but it's already changing the way that people here at home and internationally think about Canadian television and movies. To chat more about Heated Rivalry and its influence, we've reached Brenda Austin-Smith, University of Manitoba English, Theatre, Film and Media professor. And we want to hear from you. Have you actually seen Heated Rivalry? What do you make of the show? Why do you think it's resonating with so many people right now, not just here in Canada, but all around the world? If you haven't seen it before, what do you think sets Canadian television and movies apart from other countries? And we want to hear from you. What's your favorite Canadian-made TV show or movie? Numbers to call us at 204-780-0893, 204-780-0893. Toll free out of town, 1-800-268-5483. Text us at 204-588-7355. We're also streaming live on CBC Manitoba's YouTube channel and also on TikTok. So please join the conversation there and send in your thoughts. Joining me now is Brenda Austin-Smith from the University of Manitoba. Well, good afternoon, Brenda.
Good afternoon, Marjorie. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? I hope you're staying warm out there.
I am, and watching that show certainly helps.
Yes, it's cold outside, but the show, if you've seen it, is very hot and steamy. I understand that you just started watching. What are your takeaways on the show?
Oh, it makes me smile. It really does. I'm enjoying it immensely. I watch it and kind of mentally tick off various boxes. Oh yeah, there's the melodrama. Oh yeah, there's the strong and silent man who doesn't want to share his emotions. Oh yeah, there's the backstory of the difficult family situation, that kind of thing. And I also notice elements of the production that really set it apart.
Mm-hmm. What are some of those elements of the production to you that really stand out?
Well, one of the things that I noticed right away is that it's letterboxed. And that means like that top band, right? The top and the bottom band of the usual square screen are blocked off. So it's letterboxed. So it seems a little scrunched. People might not be used to that in Canadian productions because it is something that's associated with higher quality, high resolution, international films and international television programs. It's like it has a production reason, but it kind of comes with a kind of, ooh, this is very high quality.
It is 12:42, and our guest today is Brenda Austin-Smith, who joins us from the University of Manitoba. Brenda is a professor in English, theatre, film, and media, and we're talking about your favorite Canadian TV show or your Canadian-made film. Give us a call. We're talking about this because of the show Heated Rivalry, which has caught on everywhere besides Canada, all around the world, actually. Everyone's talking about it. 204-780-0893. Toll free out of town. 1-800. I'm just going to pull up the out of town number here. 1-800-268-5483. Text us 204-588-7355. People also weighing in on CBC Manitoba's TikTok account and also on CBC Manitoba's YouTube channel, which we are living stream on. So we'd love to hear from you. Brenda, why, and a lot of people are wondering this, why has this show, I know why Canadians love this, obviously, because there's hockey involved in this, but
Yeah.
why do you think that this has caught on all around the world?
It's lightning in a bottle. And I hope it's going to strike more than once, but it really was a combination of things that have to do with the content, rival enemies becoming lovers. It's an old romance trope, and that's appealing. The Canada versus Russia ongoing competitive story in hockey is appealing worldwide. Everybody knows that. And these are young and very beautiful men. So there's a lot of visual appeal. The production quality is very high. So, in terms of just gorgeous filming, gorgeous resolution, lovely lighting, it's really attractive. But it's also romance. And romance is far more popular than a lot of commentary would lead you to believe. So, it's the combination of it being Canadian. It's about an ongoing, persistent, competitive, worldwide kind of, championship jockeying between two very famous opponents, national opponents, Russia and Canada. And it's about hockey, and that's a very Canadian-themed story. So it's got all these amazing niche ingredients. So it's a queer love story, and then these big ingredients, which have to do with international competition. So it's just hitting the high and the low perfectly.
We are getting a lot of comments. Let's see here. I think we had a caller who joined us on the line. She is not there anymore. So, Larissa, if you want to call back and share your thoughts, give us a call. Here are the numbers again: 204-780-0893. Toll free out of town, 1-800-268-5483, or text us at 204-588-7355. We're getting a lot of comments, by the way, on TikTok. We're also streaming live on YouTube. So please join us and give us your thoughts. Is our caller still there on the line? No? Okay. Here's some of the comments, and Brenda, we'll get you to weigh in on this. We were asking people about some of their favorite Canadian-made TV shows and films. And on TikTok, Aurora Timberco on TikTok said Trailer Park Boys and North of 60. Itchy Moccasin said, my absolute favorite Canadian TV show was and always will be The Hilarious House of Frightenstein. What do you think about those? Trailer Park Boys, very familiar with. North of 60, very familiar with. The Hilarious House of Frightenstein, I've never heard of that before. Have you?
Neither have I, and I'm now going to go looking for it because I'm always looking for things to share in classes. So I'm going to look for that one for sure.
And by the way, Cat 660 on TikTok says Electric Playground is one of their favorite made Canadian shows. Yeah, this is great. Caitlin, by the way, says loves Heated Rivalry. What other Canadian shows come to mind for you, Brenda, that has really hit this level of popularity?
I can't think of anything that's hit quite this level of popularity that's associated with Canadian television.
What about Schitt's Creek? Because a lot of people did bring up Schitt's Creek. Yeah.
I was going to say Schitt's Creek comes about the closest because it really did travel and it lives on in memes, right? And that's partly how you can tell how popular a show is when it becomes memeified. Schitt's Creek is right up there. So that would be one of the most popular because Canadian television has changed an awful lot in the last 20, 30 years. And some of that has to do with our funding structure. And as funding has become more available through international co-productions, then you get some otherwise kind of niche stories hitting the mainstream, hitting the big time. And I think Heated Rivalry is exactly Exhibit A. It was a rather niche story, right? Crafted, as people pointed out, you pointed out, from a series called Game Changers by a Canadian woman writing this male-on-male romance series, and fans loved it. And Jacob Tierney, who was the producer of this, read those novels during lockdown. So this is really a story of fans and reading, and then somebody kind of running with this property and finding supporters in the commercial media sector, like Crave, and one of Crave's recent acquisitions, a UK company called Sphere, and they chimed in with funding. So this is a story of how a very specific, otherwise kind of niche story that might only appeal to a few viewers got the turbo funding that it needed to get out there and find its audience. And then the surprising discovery, and Crave, I think, was just as surprised as everybody else, that, oh my, this has a huge audience. And now it's just gone stellar. I mean, it's a great Canadian story.
We're speaking with Brenda Austin Smith, who is a professor of English, theater, film, and media at the University of Manitoba. We're asking you about your favorite made Canadian television show or movie. Tell us what you think about Heated Rivalry, 204-780-0893, or text us at 204-588-7355. We're getting a lot of comments, text messages, messages on TikTok and YouTube. So I'm going to try and get to as many of these as possible. But we got a comment here on TikTok. Benzi Zabe G, I hope I'm saying that right, says Batabot. I don't think I've heard of that before.
Oh my goodness, this is incredible. That's great. I got an ongoing list.
On YouTube, Gerbilling 5100 says, Acting Good is my current favorite Canadian series. It's an ensemble cast of Indigenous comedian actors, and the show is hilarious. It's like The Simpsons if it were set on the res. Lisa texted us, one of my favorite Canadian TV shows was Wojak, starring John Vernon. I never saw the show until about 5 years ago. My grade 3 teacher, Mrs. Dorothy Satin, said she acted in the show. Kathy messaged, great Canadian TV shows, Family Law, Kids Ruin Everything, and Transplant. Those are great shows, by the way. Anne messaged other great Canadian shows, Corner Gas, of course, Schitt's Creek, Kim's Convenience. I love Kim's Convenience, and Anne with an E. Most thanks to CBC. You know, Brenda, one show that comes to mind for me that kind of also got popular in the United States, and maybe this was afterwards, was Degrassi. I grew up with Degrassi. Now I see it everywhere in syndication. Of course, everyone knows Drake was once on that show. Those are some shows that were absolutely some of my favorites. But something you touched on is the challenges that Canadian production faces when it comes to public funding. So what is it about public funding, or what are some of the obstacles that stand in the way?
It's hard to get.
Yeah.
It's hard to get. It's hard to get. So what happens is that a lot of those titles are really fascinating to me too, and I'm going to track them down because they're not ones that got this kind of marquee treatment, right, of Heated Rivalry. And part of it is the funding structure. So up until like the 1970s, most of the funding for Canadian media came from either the CBC or the National Film Board, right, the NFB. So those were the two big public pots of money. And there wasn't a lot of it. We're a small population in comparison to the US population. And there were also some requirements. Things had to satisfy a certain kind of Canadian content. So many years after that, we're into the 80s, into the 90s, and now into the 2000s. And the funding models have changed because the definition of what qualifies as CanCon, Canadian content, has changed. It's broadened. It's become a little easier to qualify for that funding. And there are now private funding pots of money available. So if you have an idea for a TV show, you're going to pitch it to the Canadian Television Fund, which is government money, but you're also going to try to pitch it to provinces. Like if you're in Manitoba, there's going to be a tax credit that will help you make your show. And you're going to go to commercial broadcasters, private broadcasters, and private funders to try to put together your funding package, because it's really expensive. And the bigger the fund, the more obstacles there are, because the private funders want to make money on your show. So they're going to be a little worried if it's about gay hockey players, because they're going to say, I'm not really sure how big an audience there is for that. That sounds a little nichey. And Jacob Tierney was really, really lucky. And he says he was lucky. He got the backing of Crave, right, which is owned by Bell Media. And Crave went, we're behind you, bud. We're going to support you. And that's what he needed to put the final bits of money together and make the first series. And then when they were screened, they were tested, they were popular, and it just went like a rocket ship. But there are a ton of obstacles in the way.
Very interesting. I'm going to get to more comments here. So we got some more comments on TikTok. Christian says, my favorite show is Heartland. Elias Jamali says, Kenny versus Spenny. Sinner666 says, Danger Bay. Everyone remembers Danger Bay.
Yes.
Yeah. James248 North says, The Tomorrow's People. And Nancy texted us saying, I love Son of a Critch, Kim's Convenience, and of course, Schitt's Creek. They're all heartwarming, well acted, and classics. Haven't seen Heated Rivalry yet, but it is on my list. So, Brenda, what does this mean then for the future of Canadian television and film? I feel because this is happening right now, maybe more people around the world will pay attention to Canadian shows, maybe pick them up. What do you think this means for the future of Canadian productions?
It's hopeful. And I think some of the adjectives that are used to describe some of these favorite shows, like heartwarming, that has been a quality that's been quite prized when it comes to the funding landscape. You know, something like Kim's Convenience, Letterkenny, which was one of Jacob Tierney's former projects. He did Shoresy, he did Letterkenny. So there's an expectation that Canadian drama isn't really dramatic. It's charming and it's sweet and it's heartwarming. And I think Heated Rivalry takes it up a notch and says to the world, you know what? We can do that, but we can also do something more dramatic, more serious, a little more edgy, a little more adventurous. And I think that bodes well for our industry, that there are companies out there who will take a chance on the creative work coming out of this country, and we'll stand behind it, we'll fund it, and we'll say, you know what, we're going to take a chance on you. We've got your back. Go forth and succeed. So this is really good for us.
We've got a couple minutes left in the call-in, but Sinners666 also says a great show, The Red Green Show. That's a great show, by the way.
Yeah, hilarious. We do comedy well.
Yes, we do. And that's the thing. I feel like Canadians have been more known for being comedic, for the nicer, kind of sweeter shows. And this show really kind of pushes the envelope a little bit. How is streaming, we have a minute left here, Brenda, but I want to get your take on this. How has streaming, or because we've got Netflix and we've got all these different streaming avenues, how is that going to play a role, or how is that going to change how Canadian shows are picked up in other countries?
I think it's critical because it means you can reach audiences that you didn't know were out there, and they can find you. So I absolutely think that it was essential to the success of Heated Rivalry. You needed deeper pockets. Crave had deeper pockets, and you need an outlet. You need to find your audience. And then who knew? The audience is not just Canada, it's the US, it's international. And there are people out there who are still waiting to get a hold of the show, right? Because streaming rights are not necessarily the same around the world. So we have audiences out there who are watching the trailer, watching the commentary, listening to us and going, I can hardly wait. So streaming is essential.
Brenda, thank you so much. It has been a great conversation, and thank you to everyone who weighed in today. Brenda, it was a pleasure speaking with you again.
Oh, lots of fun, as always.
Take care. That is Brenda Austin Smith, a professor in the Department of English, Theatre, Film, and Media at the University of Manitoba. Let's check in now with the host of Up to Speed. Faith Fundal joins me now in studio with a look at what's coming up this afternoon. Hi, Faith.
Well, Marge, you could consider this a different kind of streaming, except it's the kind that will be very, very cold. I'm talking about wind chills.
Oh, yes.
Some folks say wind chill values, they're not a real thing. We're going to hear from someone from the University of Manitoba who will essentially tell you why it doesn't matter if it's real or not, because it is all about safety. So we'll talk about what it feels like means and why you need to pay attention.
All right, we'll have to tune in then. Thank you very much, Faith.
Thank you.
Faith Fundal, the host of Up to Speed. Tune in this afternoon here to CBC Radio 1 from 3 to 6 o'clock. Well, thank you so much for joining us on our show today. Thank you to everyone who joined us via our CBC Manitoba YouTube channel, also on TikTok. All your comments Thank you for being part of the conversation. I want to thank our incredible hardworking crew, our tech, May McKillop and Jenica Sewell, associate producer, Corey Funk, and Chidi Akuma, show director Sarah Sanders, and thank you so much to our streaming folks, Darren Morash, Travis Peterson, Victoria Tashnik. I'm Marjorie Dowhouse. Stay warm and safe this weekend. We'll talk to you again on Monday. Coming up next here on CBC Radio 1, CBC Podcast Showcase. Have a good one.